Dear listeners, welcome to History with Herodotus, where the annals of time come alive through the power of storytelling and rigorous historical inquiry. Today we embark on a fascinating journey to explore one of the most pivotal events in naval history, the Spanish Armada. This formidable fleet, which set sail from the sun-kissed ports of Spain in the late 16th century, would change the course of European history forever. As we delve into the origins of this mighty armada, let us transport ourselves to the bustling docks of Lisbon and Cadiz, where the sound of hammering on metal, the smell of freshly cut timber, and the sight of billowing sails filled the air. It was here, in the 1580s, that King Philip II of Spain, a staunch Catholic and a powerful monarch, began to contemplate a grand naval expedition to restore Catholic supremacy in England and protect Spanish trade and commerce. The English Queen, Elizabeth I, had been providing support to Dutch Protestants who were rebelling against Spanish rule, and Philip II as an affront to his authority. We find ourselves in the midst of a complex web of politics and religion, where the Protestant Reformation was sweeping across Europe, and Catholic Spain was determined to maintain its grip on power. The year 1585 marked a significant turning point, as Elizabeth I signed the Treaty of Nonsuch, pledging English support to the Dutch rebels. This move was seen as a direct challenge by Philip II, who began to assemble a vast fleet of ships, soldiers, and sailors, with the aim of invading England and overthrowing the Protestant Queen. The summer of 1587 was a time of great anticipation and activity in the shipyards of Spain. The construction of the Armada's vessels was underway, with skilled craftsmen working day and night to build the galleons, frigates, and other ships that would make up the fleet. The Spanish had been experimenting with new designs and technologies, incorporating features such as heavier guns and more maneuverable hulls into their vessels. Meanwhile, the recruitment of sailors, soldiers, and officers was in full swing, with men from all over Spain and its colonies flocking to join the Armada. As we explore the origins of the Spanish Armada, it becomes clear that this was a complex and multifaceted endeavor, driven by a combination of political, religious, and economic factors. The Spanish monarch's desire to restore Catholic supremacy in Europe, combined with his need to protect Spanish trade and commerce, had created a sense of urgency and purpose among the nobles, sailors, and shipbuilders who were working together to create this mighty fleet. Key figures, such as Alvaro de Bazan, 1st Marquess of Santa Cruz, a seasoned admiral and a favorite of Philip II, played important roles in the planning and preparation of the Armada. De Bazan's experience in naval warfare and his knowledge of the English coast would prove invaluable to the Spanish cause. However, his death in 1588 would be a significant blow to the Spanish as they prepared to set sail for England. The months leading up to the Armada's departure were marked by intense activity, as the Spanish prepared for what they hoped would be a glorious and decisive campaign. The Duke of Medina Sidonia, who would eventually lead the Armada, was busy making final preparations, overseeing the loading of provisions, ammunition, and equipment onto the ships, and coordinating the movements of the various squadrons that would make up the Armada. As we prepare to embark on the next leg of our journey, we find ourselves poised on the cusp of a new era, one in which the fate of nations will be decided by the bravery of sailors, the cunning of strategists, and the whims of fortune. The Spanish Armada is about to set sail, bound for the waters of northern Europe, where it will engage in a series of epic battles that will shape the course of history. Dear listeners, welcome back to History with Herodotus, as we continue our journey through the annals of time to explore one of the most pivotal events in naval history, the Spanish Armada. The summer of 1588 was a time of great anticipation and excitement, as the Armada, comprising over 130 ships, including 22 galleons, 108 armed merchant vessels, and foreign Neapolitan galleys prepared to depart from the port of Corunna in northern Spain. The fleet was led by the Duke of Medina Sidonia, a seasoned nobleman and naval commander who had been appointed by King Philip II to lead the expedition. As the Armada sailed into the English Channel, it was met with a combination of curiosity and trepidation by the English Navy, which was led by Lord Howard of Effingham and Sir Francis Drake. The English had been preparing for this moment for months, and their fleet was comprised of smaller, more agile ships, which were designed for speed and maneuverability. The first engagement between the two fleets took place on July 19, 1588, off the coast of Plymouth in southwestern England. The Spanish galleons, with their heavy guns and cumbersome hulls, were no match for the English ships, which were able to dodge and weave around them with ease. The English used a tactic known as breaking the line, where they would attack the Spanish ships from the sides and rear, rather than head-on, in order to avoid the Spanish broadsides. Over the next few days, the Armada sailed up the English Channel, engaging in a series of skirmishes with the English fleet. The Spanish were unable to gain the upper hand, despite their numerical superiority, and they began to suffer significant losses. On July 27, 1588, the Armada anchored off the coast of Gravelines in northern France, where it was attacked by the English fleet, led by Sir Francis Drake. The Battle of Gravelines was a decisive victory for the English, and it marked a turning point in the campaign. The Spanish suffered heavy losses, including the sinking of several galleons, and the Armada was forced to retreat back to Spain. The English had saved their nation from invasion, and they had secured a major victory over their arch-rivals. The period that followed the Battle of Gravelines is often referred to as the high tide of the Spanish Armada's influence, as it marked the pinnacle of Spanish power and prestige in Europe. Despite their defeat, the Spanish continued to play a dominant role in European politics and commerce, and their navy remained one of the most powerful in the world. However, the failure of the Armada to invade England had significant consequences for Spain. The cost of the expedition had been enormous, and it had depleted the Spanish treasury. The loss of so many ships and men had also weakened the Spanish navy, making it more vulnerable to attack from other European powers. As we reflect on this pivotal moment in history, we are reminded of the bravery and cunning of the sailors and strategists who fought in the battles of 1588. We are also reminded of the significance of the Spanish Armada's defeat, which marked a turning point in the balance of power in Europe, and paved the way for the rise of England as a major naval power. Dear listeners, welcome back to History with Herodotus, as we continue our journey through the annals of time to explore one of the most pivotal events in naval history, the Spanish Armada. The failure of the Spanish Armada to invade England had far-reaching consequences for Spain. The cost of the expedition had been enormous, with estimates suggesting that it depleted the Spanish treasury by over 10 million ducats, a staggering amount equivalent to several years' worth of revenue. This financial burden would haunt the Spanish monarchy for decades to come, limiting its ability to invest in other military campaigns and economic ventures. Furthermore, the loss of so many ships and men had weakened the Spanish navy, making it more vulnerable to attack from other European powers. The Armada's defeat marked a significant shift in the balance of power at sea, as England emerged as a major naval force, while Spain's dominance began to wane. This new reality would have profound implications for trade, colonization, and the struggle for supremacy in Europe. One of the most notable consequences of the Spanish Armada's defeat was the rise of Dutch and English privateering. With the Spanish navy weakened, privateers from these nations saw an opportunity to attack Spanish shipping and colonies, disrupting Spain's lucrative trade routes and further eroding its economic power. This period, often referred to as the Golden Age of piracy, would see legendary figures like Sir Francis Drake and the Dutch sea beggars make their mark on history. The defeat of the Armada also had significant implications for the Spanish Empire's colonial ambitions. The failure to invade England meant that Spain could no longer assert its claim to dominance in the New World, and English colonization of North America began to gain momentum. The establishment of the first successful English colony at Jamestown in 1607 marked a new era in English expansionism, as the seeds of a future global empire were sown. As we reflect on the aftermath of the Spanish Armada's defeat, we are reminded of the profound impact that this event had on the course of European history. The rise of England as a major naval power, the decline of Spanish dominance, and the emergence of new colonial powers all contributed to a fundamental shift in the global balance of power. In the words of the great historian Garrett Mattingly, the defeat of the Armada was not just a naval victory. It was a turning point in the history of Europe. As we conclude our journey through the story of the Spanish Armada, we are left with a deeper understanding of the complexities and nuances of this pivotal event, and its enduring legacy in shaping the modern world. Join me next time on History with Herodotus, as we explore more fascinating stories from the annals of time. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, remember that to understand the present, we must first understand the past.